All right, guys, welcome to Saw Talk. And we're going to be talking about the Miami Dolphins and not just the Miami Dolphins, but we're going to do some record predictions and what is the outlook. I'm also going to do um, a step through of all the things that were added to a roster for their opponents and the things that are taken away from a roster. Uh, as you can see, I got a couple things that's already opened up here. Let's go ahead and put this together with that. There we go. Oh, thought I had And voila, there we go. Perfect. And it says American football. All right, I need to keep those other things open because I don't want to lose that. And reading a book. All right, so football. We're on schedule here. So first off, let's look at the Miami Dolphins. Let's see what they brought into the roster and what they lost, and let's kind of make some predictions and some ideas. Did they improve? Did they get worse? These type of things here. So first thing first, um, they brought in a backup quarterback in Zach Wilson, 1 year deal. Exactly. Well, Alexander Madison is not going to matter because he's out for a year. Strick made the roster, so he's going to be with the Miami Dolphins. Looked pretty good in preseason games. Probably was the most impressive wide receiver. Nick Akine, who was signed to not an overly expensive deal, but he did look relatively unimpressive during the preseason. Phil Brown was brought back on the practice squad. I believe it was practice squad, um, even though he was cut. So he didn't come in and make the impact I thought he was going to. Darren Waller, we haven't seen much of him because he's obviously been on the pup for most of the offseason. Um, Jackson Carmen, I'm pretty sure he'll make the team. Larry Borum, we got to see plenty of him. I don't think he is as bad as people think. If you go back and go into the tape, really look into the tape, some of the things that happened were not all on him. Like literally one time they gave up a sack and he was blaming Larry Borum, but Tua was hot. No, it wasn't a sack. Tua couldn't get the ball out. They got tipped at the line of scrimmage. Tua got hit, but he was hot. They blitzed him. Larry Borum did a pretty good job out of two people. He picked up one. Tua got rid of the ball. He didn't take a clear shot. But when a team makes you hot and you didn't plan for those hots, right? Those things are going to happen. Kind of what it is. You got to have a outlet to get the ball out quickly, and or have a route that can win. Right? That's comes from game plan. That's coaching. That's not on the player. Liam Eichenberg, who's been hurt most of the year, right? Still going to be one of the best backups. Benito Jones, who's probably going to be a starting nose tackle for maybe a game or two, because the way our rookie class is looking. KJ Britt, who looks like a solid linebacker, maybe even starting level linebacker. He's a backup for us. Terrell Dotson, who is going to be a plus starter for us, I believe. I think he's better in pass situations. Very quick. To me, he's a will, but because of our defense, weak side middle linebacker might give him opportunity to make a lot of tackles. Doesn't disengage from blocks extremely well, but he gets to ball carriers, right? So we have different linebackers for different situations. We just got to be able to see those situations. Willie Gay Jr., I think he's a do-it-all type of player. I don't think he's that great in the box making tackles. He did make a few plays. Doesn't disengage well. Doesn't always track defender well, but he's super athletic. Can rush the passer. If you just allow him to be an athlete, that's where I think you really can get the best from Willie Gay. I hear he's having a great camp. I didn't get a chance to really watch himself on the preseason game, which he looked pretty good. But consistency, I think, is probably one of the biggest issues because when you watch him, you can see, oh, hey, why are you not there yet? Right? But I think he's a better player than he was with the Saints, which was last year. Artie Burns hurt. Famu, haven't seen much. Was hurt most of the offseason. I have big hopes for him. Kendall Sheffield, he was cut. Elijah Campbell, he's been on the Dolphins for a long time. Pretty decent player, backup level player. Should not be a starter. Can come in and give a breather. Ashton Davis hurt most of the offseason. Haven't really seen much of him. Mika Fitzpatrick, we know he is an all-pro level player. He was acquired by losing Jalen Ramsey and John Smith. Um, I haven't made my opinion on this channel known, but a lot of people love John Smith. Man, John Smith played at my college, so I have no hate towards John Smith. I think John Smith is a very good player. Um, is he a Pro Bowl level tight end? He's not. He had a Pro Bowl level season, partially because the offense was banged up. You had to get the ball out quick. Tyreek Hill was hurt. Waddle got hurt. Had little of a run game. Used him as a screen option. All his routes were like dump offs. He didn't spread the field. The field got spread by other players who weren't even able to play that well because of the injuries. So the way the Dolphins were being played allowed for John Smith to be able to basically excel in our offense. I don't think he's a player that's going to win a lot of matchups. I'm not saying he's bad. Like I'm not trying to say that he's a starting level tight end, but is he a top Pro Bowl? You get the top what is it? Three players on your in your conference. So let's say top six tight end in the NFL. No, he's not. Like no, no, he's not even. He's not. Maybe 15th. You can go in right there in the middle. He's a good tight end, average, right? He should be starting on the team. He is a weakness in the run game. Not to the point where he's Mike Gesicki bad, um, but you should not be running the ball to him as a lead blocker. Like if I'm a defense, I'm not even calling the run game as to a strength to his side. Like he is that poor of a blocker. He's a detached big slot wide receiver, and he can win there. But in man coverage against a DB or safety, I don't think he's going to beat them a lot. He has the speed to get away from a linebacker and the size to beat some bigger DBs, but he's not the biggest dude in the world. This is not any hate towards the guy. I'm just trying to be honest. I would like to have him more than not have him, but if I'm saying it was a big loss for this team, it's probably only a big loss because we replaced him with a guy who was retired last year. Like I don't think it's a huge loss. Jalen Ramsey is to me a declining player. Now he's still a very good player, and if you're asking me who's better between Mika and Jalen Ramsey, I think they are comparable players at this point in their career. Mika does play a position I believe is more important for our team, not for an NFL team on normally. And I think Jalen Ramsey is more of a liability at corner than Mika is a liability at safety, if that makes any sense. Stonehouse got cut. He lost the competition, and then our long snapper. So our first opponent. This isn't talking to our draftees. Let's go into the draftees that we have, and we're pulling that up now. Share my screen, making this a little bit easier so there's less editing. Kenneth Bradford looked like a monster in the first round. Johnson Savaianaya, who I believe will be a average guard for us, which his play looks pretty good, has some weaknesses. It will be a big step up considering that the last two guards we had on our either side of the team were bad. Liam Eichenberg, who's now probably our eighth to seventh player on the roster, was a starting guard last year. And so don't worry about this grade. These guys don't really even look at film like that. They look at highlights and clips. They don't go into the film. Just like I don't go into other teams deep like that all the time unless I'm actually doing some research on them, right? And so, um, yeah, a lot of these people are they didn't play the game, they didn't coach the game, they didn't do none of this. They are reporters, and so they do surface level research. They're not going into okay in the three technique. 97% of the time, this player stands here. He wins against most players, and a player who's this strong tends to win. Like they don't do all that. Honestly, I don't even do that anymore to that extent because I'm not playing anymore. I only did that when I played and when I coached to an extent. I coached high school, so not anymore, but when I coached high school. And I realized that I was going to too much detail. I got to teach these kids how to like get into their stance first before I'm over here going to analytics. But yeah, Jonas Savannah is an upgrade over both guards we had before. I believe we haven't seen him a lot. Only all we've seen is the preseason, and he looks pretty good. Jordan Phillips looks like a steal in the fifth round. The guy looks like at least a third round player. That's why I believe he's going to take Benito Jones' job, or he's going to spell him a lot, where it's like a 50-50 split by the time we get towards the end of the season. Jason Marshall Jr., they have him starting at believe he's going to be starting because of what we saw from the last preseason game. He was starting at the slot, and they cut Hilton, and so I believe he will be a starter. I don't know how good he's going to be. One thing I can say is the Miami Dolphins has consistently found low-level or undrafted free agent corners and turned them into suitable starters. I don't know how they do it. They're really good at finding it. We'll find out. Dante Trader Jr. Haven't heard much about him. I know he's playing a little bit. They got open competition in that backfield. Ollie Gordon Jr. looks great, decisive runner. I mean, he's missing some holes if we're looking at it, but he's also getting some good blocking. But I like how he's powerful. He doesn't go down with first contact like a lot of our other running backs. And to be fair, Achan, who's a smaller back, doesn't surely go down on initial contact all the time either. But Gordon just looks a little different, right? It's a little not as tight as I want, or clean, or high and tight like we were taught. Like it's not as smooth but dude runs. Quinn Ewers looked better in the later pieces of games. Looked a little rough that first one, but jitters. Let's hope we don't ever have to see him this year. Zeke Biggers, he's big. We saw him a little bit in the game. He's a space eater. Um, Maybe in run game, we see him, there's a lot of passing situations. We saw him not too many run games, but overall, you're playing against a weaker competition on offensive line, so we don't really know how good that guy is. He made the roster. I think he's the bottom of the roster type of defensive tackle. He might. I won't put him in practice squad because I don't want him to get claimed or snatched off of it. But I don't think he's going to play very much unless we get some injuries. All right. Let's read the grades anyway. Um, everyone told the Dolphins how soft they were last season, and Chris Greer clearly took that to heart, spending his first pick on Gargantuan nose tackle Kenneth Grant. The Dolphins GM was just getting started. As Greer used the next two picks on a pair of robust trench warriors, Jonas Savaiinaia and Jordan Phillips. Lastly, in a selection that humorously underscored Miami goal to become more imposing at the line of scrimmage, but I believe this is how you win football in the trenches. Um, that's why I don't understand. It's a C plus because it doesn't show any flash or explosiveness, no skill players, but it doesn't matter. You can win a line of scrimmage. You're gonna win a lot of games. You might not be Super Bowl winning team, but you're going to be a good team, borderline playoff team. And then when you add those explosive players, and that's how you get over the hump. If you don't have the trench play, you don't got the bare minimum, right? You need that. It's like kind of driving a car. You need wheels, but you can put wheels on anything on a bicycle. But to get moving, you need wheels, and the trenches are the wheels. Now you put a V8 engine on that jump to get going. That's your quarterback, and that's your skill position players. But to even get going, you got to have wheels. You don't got no wheels. I don't care what you got in under that hood. You ain't going nowhere. All right. The draft by nabbing another human being by the name of Z Biggers. The Phins stocked up on beef. Now we'll just have to see how it cooks, right? And then their favorite pick, which is my favorite pick, was Jonas Savaiinaia. Um, we traded up 11 spots for him, 6'4", 324 pounder, exhibiting aggressiveness that makes sense given the incomplete state of the Dolphins offensive line. So Savaiinaia can start immediately at right guard. He's going to be starting at left guard, by the way. Sleeper pick, which right now it looks like a great pick, Ollie Gordon, running back, because we have injuries in the backfield. A-Chain should be playing, but he's probably going to concede some touches because he's dealing with a calf injury, right? And so Ollie Gordon has an opportunity to actually play against the Colts, who I think defensively will probably be pretty good. I don't think they'll be an all-star team of anything like that, but we're going to go ahead and check out what they lost and then get a record prediction. And then we'll go to the next team and do the same thing. This video is probably going to have a little bit of time on it. Maybe I'll do a part two, go like halfway through to the bye week, and then do it another one and finish the prediction. So let's go look for the Colts. So in the comments, tell me what your predictions are for the Miami Dolphins, why you think they're going to be what they are, and if these are all draft picks. So I'm going to go through the draft picks and then flip back over. But like why you think they're not going to be good, and don't tell me because they suck. All like, give me some like real detail. I see a lot of fans are like just down on them because expectations weren't met. Considering the team that had no quarterback for uh, about half the season, 6.5 games, going on 7 games, and you win 8 games, like that's that's actually quite good. Um, and they started 2-6 and then finish um, 6-3. That's impressive. They could have been a first overall type pick team, which in this draft probably would have been good. I would love to have got Travis Hunter, but I don't think that's what this team needed. And you didn't want that to happen either because then you lose a relatively good coach. You don't know what you're going to get like that from that. You can go ahead and get a Philbin and things might not go the way you want. There we go. They're right next to us. All right. Tyler Warren, I think he's a really good tight end. I don't think he's a superstar tight end. I think he's a good pass catching weapon. Matter of fact, the Colts overall got some pretty good weapons. I think the weakness to their team is really just quarterback. Um, Daniel Jones did win the starting position, and I think that's going to be better than Anthony Richardson. And I think that's what's going to give the Dolphins more issues because you can play more consistent and on time in that particular situation. Edge, uh, Ohio State, JT. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not good with names overall. You want me to say something like that? Justin Wally from Minnesota, cornerback. Don't know much about him. Jalen Travis. Don't know much about him. J.D. Giggins and quarterback Riley Leonard, Tim Smith, Hunter Woolard. So unfortunately, I can't give you much about other than the first two picks. I think the edge from Ohio State is actually a pretty good player. Actually, when I play Madden, when I do play Madden, that's one of my draft picks and one of the players I do consistently go after. He's actually really good player. And then Ty Warren, I think, is a plus tight end. He is basically a rookie, so there are going to be growing pains, and it's the first game of the year, so I'm glad we're getting him early. And against Miami's deep linebacker core, and actually, I think the safeties are the part of the secondary that's good. I don't expect him to be a huge problem for the Dolphins. Now, their receivers, that might be a different story. All right. So let's go back here and look at it's AFC East. Let's go to South, right there, AFC South. Colts. All right, so they added Daniel Jones, who was not a starter, so that's a pretty good thing for them. Then Caleb Herbert, who I think is a very good running back, but he's been dealing with injury, so we got to see how he comes back from that. And obviously, they already got a really good running back. We don't even need to say his name because that's my worry. I do think the Dolphins' defensive line is going to control the line of scrimmage, and if you control the line of scrimmage, for the most part, you're going to control the run game. Dallin, who I don't think they even need that receiver, considering the deepness of their receiving core. Mo Ali Cox, which is a plus run blocking tight end. Daniel Pintner, who's a pretty good center. I'm not sure if he's starting for them, but he's a really good center. I would love to have him as a backup for us because I don't think he'll start over Brewer. If he can play guard, woo! But he'll be backup too because I think the Dolphins have improved their guard position. Gallimore getting older, but a very good player as well. Corey Ballantine, not a bad corner as well. Trevorius Ward, all older players, but all of them are really good players in my opinion. Ward being probably the best out of that, and the money proves to it as well. Starting corner, probably better corner than any corner we have on the Dolphins. The safety Byam, another good player. Might be a depth player in my opinion, but probably a low level starter, right? I don't know too much about him, but others I've seen them play. All of them are starting level players. Are aging. They are declining. All of them are declining players. Um, Ward did sign quite a bit of money. Uh, he's good, but I don't know. Great is not the word I'll use. So let's go to the schedule for the Miami Dolphins. I would write that as a W. I do think the Dolphins will win this game. I do think it's a close game. And in the video, most of them, they had 10 on the panel, and 7 of them chose the Dolphins to win, so it's 7-3. They are not favored to win the game by Vegas, but that's because they are on the road and the Colts are the home team. And considering that they will be honoring their owner who passed away, a lot of people are afraid of that. I'll be honest with you. I played a game where we literally in college we had the president of the school come down. I was like, "Win for," because it was his last year and before he was retiring, and we played a little harder, but we went against a team that was better than us. We lost that game, and uh, it only adds so much. Talent at the end of the day, and having a plan that is successful against what they're doing is going to outweigh any kind of emotional burst you get at the very beginning of the game. The Dolphins control the line of scrimmage. They're going to win this game. I think they have the better trenches, except for the offensive line. But I think our defensive line cancels their what their strength is out. Maintain their run game. I don't have faith in their quarterback, and then our pass rush. If it can consistently get after them, all we get is a two-score lead, and I think they're in trouble. Um, I don't think we blow them out. I'll say 27-23. Dolphins win. Now, what is the next factor is our kicker is hurt. So I do think this is going to be a game where field goals will be important because I think the Colts are not a bad team, and I think the Dolphins have a lot of moving pieces on the offensive side of the ball that's going to interfere with some of the success. Next, we have the Patriots, the revamped Patriots. All right. Let's see where I think the Patriots are towards the bottom. All right. Hey, there we go. So they gave him an A. I love their draft as well. I think Will Campbell is an awesome, awesome technician. Now, how is he going to deal with power? How are you going to deal with some of these plus edge rushers we have? I think he can deal with speed. So, but he's on the left side. Chop tends to go on the left side. Goes on the offensive right side, so away from him. He's really going to have to deal with more with Bradley Chubb, who's a more powerful, lengthy player who still got a little bit of burst from what I've seen in the preseason. I think Will Campbell will win the majority of those matchups, but it doesn't take a lot for a defensive player to win those matchups in a game. Does he give up 2 sacks? Does he give up two, 3 pressures against Drake May, who, when pressured, just watch him when he's pressured, he makes a lot of mistakes. Like he's not good under pressure, especially when you get 4-man rush and you're not blitzing and leaving openings inside of the Dolphins, which I doubt the Dolphins are going to be a blitz heavy. They might be a fire zone team, but they're going to be a heavy zone team, which will cause some confusion. I think that's one of the things that will cause the most confusion um, for a young quarterback, for most quarterbacks, period. Next, we have Trevon Henderson, who is going to be splitting time. It's probably going to be a starter for them. Kyle Williams, who I think is a good player for them, who's going to get some PT as well. Jared Wilson from Georgia. Obviously, once we start getting into the later rounds, I'm not too familiar with some of them. Swanson from LSU. I think he's a sleeper pick. The kicker from Miami, obviously from Miami. I think he's a really good kicker as well. But we just Miners, I hear is doing. Kobe Miner is doing pretty good. I think. Don't quote me on that. Obviously, I know the first three guys, and then obviously some dudes I watch myself. I'm not a big college dude, even though I played college. I don't watch college. It's boring to me in comparison. Which I know some people love it. So yeah, for the NFL. All right, let's see what they said about it. Most impressive aspect of Drake May's rookie season was his ability to inspire hope in an uninspiring environment, flanked by arguably the worst offensive line and worst skill players. Fun fact: um, their offensive line was worse than the Dolphins, but the Dolphins were ranked in pass block win rate and run block win rate right ahead of them. So if they were the worst in the league, arguably, the Dolphins were right next to them. And to show you how bad they did because they lost the trench battle, and considering the Dolphins how well they did in comparison with almost the same type of offensive line should tell you something, right? And so if you're talking about talented, the Dolphins are far more talented, like at every position except for maybe DB, like literally every position. I maybe running back is arguable, even though Achan is better than any running back they have. But they have more depth because of all the injuries we've had, and even then, I don't think they were better than Henderson. I like Henderson quite a bit. All right, but yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins offensive line is going to be better than their line as well, um, considering what we've brought back and what we have. Okay, now I love Will Campbell. Don't get me wrong, but the way our second round pick Paul is looking, I mean, look like a wash from right there. But we'll see. Flanked by arguably worse line, da da da. It could be a star with better surrounding talent. So naturally, the Patriots aim to supply that with their first four selections. Some people question whether number four overall pick Will Campbell arms are long enough for him to play left tackle in the NFL. But Mike Vrabel doesn't care. Having personally put him through a workout that already become legends in New England. And when Campbell was asked about Manning May's blindside on the draft, the 21-year-old went primal. I'm going to fight and die to protect him with everything I got. We're all right. On day two of the draft, New England added a pair of potent playmakers in Trayvon Henderson and Kyle Williams um, before grabbing the pure, the best pure center in the draft class, which I think he's a very good center. May doesn't turn 23 until August, but the Patriots showcased him with presence early, showered him with presence early. Now, love their draft. I think they're really good. But the best part of this team are the young players that they have, right? And Kyle Williams, I think, is a good player. I think he's going to play. They need to improve their receiving core because they had one of the worst receiving cores last year as well, in my opinion. Uh, as I said, Swinson, outside linebacker, I thought he was really good. I think he's a good player that is got the physical traits, but you got to see how he does and how he moves into that system. I don't think he's going to be a day one starter who makes a high impact. I think he's going to be a player that starts to improve. This is week two, so again, the first month of the season, I'm really not factoring in how well these players are going to improve. So that takes us to that's the draft. Let's go to what the team actually has. Patriots should be towards the end, so let's go backwards. Or we can go AFC East. And Patriots. Joshua Dobbs, backup quarterback. Not a bad backup. Hopefully, we don't get to see him. Stephon Diggs, still borderline Pro Bowl level player. Mac Hollins is a good depth player who I think will be very good as well. Play for the Dolphins. Austin Hooper is a pretty good tight end, backup level tight end. Crazy part about it, he might be better than every tight end the Dolphins have. Morgan Moses, borderline starting level tackle, but tackles are not. There's not a lot of good tackles in NFL anyway, right? Garrett Morberry, uh, Edge, Kason. I'm hearing good things about him. I loved him coming out. I just think he kind of bounced around and was in bad situations. He's always been a little small, but I love his physical profile. I think he needs to be coached up well, learn how to use his hands. Quick, explosive player, not overly powerful. If he can add power to it, I think he'd be a little bit better. But yeah, here he's doing really good, and considering he's been in the league a few years now, ever since he left Jacksonville, I haven't got really followed him as much, but I think he can be a problem and a good signing for them. Harold Landry, a few years ago, superstar for the Titans. Yes, and I think he's still like that was just literally 2023. I think he got hurt, been dealing with injuries. He's healthy. That's another player that can add a lot to them, and I think both of those players should be starters. Defensive line, Milton Williams, they signed him to a mega deal. I think he is a star. Now, I think they paid him a little too much, but that's what you do when you don't have a lot of talent. You overpay for it. I think he can be a star. Love Milton Williams. He's going to probably be the biggest problem when the Dolphins have to face them, especially for the run game. But again, outside zone, if they can do a good job, they get away from him. I love our center, but we don't build great with power. I will combo block him almost the whole game, straight up. Like combo block him, and I'm pushing to Daniels, who's our stronger of the guards, going right, and whoever Chasson is, who's a pass rusher, I'm running him off the ball. Like, I'm gonna bully you boys and hammer to nail, right? And you decide you're gonna try to bring up some of these your corners and your safety, then I hit you over the top. But that game is a game where I say you pound them and show me that Mike Vrabel's toughness has spilled over into their players. All right. They also brought in two safeties, Hawkins and Epps. Carlton Davis, who I think is a very good corner. I believe that was the corner who played for Tampa Bay. I think he's more of a aggressive, big corner, which is a weakness for the Dolphins. But I mean, again, they do a lot of creative ways to get players away from the press. If they can do that, they'll be fine. And again, they got to run the ball. Tonga is another player I like, very cheap deal, but I think he's a very good depth, big guy who can go down. So basically, how I'm speaking about it, that I think the Dolphins will start 2-0. I do think the Patriots game will be a low scoring game where it's a little bit more defensive. Um, and I believe they're home, but Miami just has more talent. As long as they don't give life to the Patriots, they should beat them handedly. Um, Again, that pass rush, they're gonna have to play quick game to go against the Dolphins, which should be effective, but that's not going to lead to a lot of points. I doubt they'll be able to run the ball. I think the Dolphins are going to have a top 10 defense, especially against the run and getting pressure onto the quarterback. My thing is, how do they hold up against some of the better passers? Because their secondary is not that great. Like, comment, subscribe, press the buttons like somewhere around here. And I appreciate you. Enjoy the S.O.D Squad.